Well, yeah, because I basically have dropped off from the face of the earth. I have been the object of attack from so many different people. All you need is one person to attack you in the public, and all the people who don't like you to start with will jump in on that. Whether it's true or not doesn't matter. They'll jump in on it, and they will carry on that attack, and then and then you've got looky-loos who will come on, and they will see, and then they'll join in the attack, and before you know it, you got all kinds of people, ad hominem attack upon your person, upon your name, and upon your family, and it's a feeding frenzy. And the mere fact that the original attack had no basis in fact at all is irrelevant. That doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with anything. And so if you're a famous person, you're going to have to deal with the fact that so many people are going to attack you. And so I've gotten to the point where it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I just do what I do the best I can. And eventually I figure that the truth will come out one day. And there's been so many times in the past people have been attacked in the press and in the public eye, and then later on we find out a few years later what really happened. And so I figured, well, eventually it very well might finally come out what really has happened, as opposed to what people are saying about me, because I have made a lot of enemies. The people, these charlatans, these little criminals who are running the churches, who are making millions and millions of bucks off of poor, innocent people, and dancing around the stage and doing their act and making lots of money. They're not very happy with Jordan Maxwell. They're not very happy with my work of uncovering all of this shenanigans in the name of religion and government and courts and banking and all this stuff that's going on. And so I have had people who have premeditatedly lied, knowing they were lying, and started rumors, who called themselves Christians, born-again Christians, when one of the 10 Commandments is, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor." Well, there are certain Christians in this country that have not only bared false witness, but are just downright liars. And they knew they were lying when they did it. And so other people pick up on that, who see me as an enemy to their comfort zone, to their little comfort box that they live in. And so they jump in on this guy's lies and deceits, who's trying to destroy my name and my work. And they jump in on it, and then other people jump in on it. And so after a while, I've gotten so many born-again Christians, mostly it's born-again Christians, mostly, who are trying to destroy my work by not confronting my work, but by confronting my person, my name, in what is called an ad hominem attack. An ad hominem attack on my person, on me, attacking my name, attacking my family, attacking my background, where I come from. And so after a while, I just gave up, because all I'm getting is nothing but attacks from everywhere, and I don't own anything. I'm not making anything. I'm not wealthy. I sleep on the floor in one room with nothing. And people who know me know that. And so I've gotten to a point where I just give up. I thought I was trying to do something to awaken my fellow man, only to discover that in America, the Christians and so many other people in this country, they don't want to be awakened. They're tired of hearing me telling them the real truth about what's going on. And so they're not only challenged, but they're scared to death that I'm going to blow their cover. And so I've had people, like I said, born again Christians knowingly lying, premeditated, and later on admitting it in private conversations. Yeah, they just put that out there to to cause him trouble. Well, it did, but it's bearing false witness against your neighbor. But these born again Christians, they couldn't care less about God, honor, decency, or anything else. They're just Al-Qaeda Christians. The same born again Christians who are talking about those crazy loons in the Middle East with their Al-Qaeda fundamentalists, Islamic fundamentalists. This is a term that's used. Islamic fundamentalists. They're all Al-Qaeda crazy, religious fanatics. Well, that's what we call Christians today in America, fundamentalists. They're the fundamental Christians. Well, and so they actually are the same as the fundamentalists Al-Qaeda. They're the same thing in America. We call them our fundamentalist Christians. They're equally as corrupt and criminal as the Al-Qaeda is. So I've had too many people threatening me, threatening my life, threatening my work, threatening people around me, and after a while, being losing everything I own, losing everything I've worked for to other people who have come in, took advantage of my situation, had me sign agreements with them, and then take everything I own and leave me for nothing, leave me with nothing. At the same time, being criticized and lied about, in the world, to the point where I don't have any way to defend myself. I don't know nothing. I don't have anything. I don't even have a dime. Nothing. So I sleep on the floor in an air mattress in a friend's home with nothing, period. And so, and of course I had that problem a long time ago with the Federal Trade Commission, and everybody wants to jump on that and show that here's Federal Trade Commission found Jordan Maxwell guilty of something, and guilty of this, and guilty of that. And that proves the point right there that Jordan Maxwell is a criminal, international criminal, and all that kind of stuff. Well, the people who actually, were there around me, the people who lived right around me, my closest friends, they know what happened. In that case, that federal, the Federal Trade Commission case that I was involved in. My friends know I had nothing to do with any of it. I didn't even know what was happening. Somebody had to call me and tell me what was going on, because I didn't know anything about any of it. I didn't know anything about the case. I didn't know anything about what the case was about. I never was told anything by anybody about nothing. And I was told by federal agents, we know you had nothing whatsoever to do with this federal case of which you're involved. We know that. We already know who you are. We've already gone back to your first grade, to when you were in the first grade. We know exactly who you are all your whole life. We know you had nothing whatsoever to do with this. But unfortunately, your name was brought up, and so that's why you're involved in it. Well, even the federal agents knew I had nothing to do with any of it. I didn't even know what was going on. They had to tell me what the whole case was about. I didn't know anything about it. But I happened by chance to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, trying to help somebody else out. And in the process, my name got involved, and then I'm now looking like a criminal. And so anyway, so that's why I've just kind of dropped out of the picture, because I'm I figure I'm but one person out here trying to do something to help my fellow man, and all it's gotten me is, broke and left with for dead, and the object of derision, object of lies, and so I've just kind of given up. I'm 73 years old. I'm tired. I've done the best I could, and I realize I've always known that I have been involved in doing what I do and doing what I've been doing for all my life for 53 years, uncovering all the darkness of religion and government and banking and all of the conspiratorial crap that's been going on. I realize that I'm up against a very, very highly organized criminal syndicates. They're running the earth. And so I'm making a lot of enemies that don't want people hearing what I'm doing. And so they will put people up to lying or to false charges, anything they can do to belittle. Normally, back in the 1200s, 10, 11, and 1200s in Europe, it wouldn't have been a problem. I would have been just burned at the stake, and that's it. They just cut your head off and be done with it. If you're offending the king and offending the princes, they just take care of you immediately. But in America, they can't do that. They can't kill you in front of everybody. So they just destroy your name. They destroy your family. They destroy your family's name and your work and marginalize you and mock you and call you every name in the book. And the great masses of the people who couldn't care less, they don't know anything about who you are. All they are, they just hear all the stuff and then they go on repeating it. So at 73 years old, I just gave up. I did the best I could and tried to do the best I could to educate people, but I'm up against organized crime at its highest levels, which is the church. I was told, many years ago, I was told by an FBI agent in San Diego. I got a call. I had a little small room office, one little room office in Glendale, and I was writing and doing videos, etc. And I got a phone call from an FBI agent, and he told me, he said, "Jordan, I'm calling. This is a social call, not business." So I said, "Give me your name," which he did. And I said, "I'll call you back." So I hung up on him, and I called the information to get the number of the FBI in San Diego. I called that number and I asked for him, and they put me through to him. So now at least I've clarified for myself, he is who he says he is. So he told me, he said, "The reason I'm calling is to tell you that we know who you are, what you're doing, and we don't see you, your government does not see you as a threat at all. We realize you're just an ordinary man trying to help people to wake up. We don't see you as a threat. But if you're going to have trouble in the future, it's going to come from the church." This is what he told me. It's going to come from the church, because we know here at the FBI, we know that the Christian movement today, as it exists in America today, is a criminal institute. We know that. There's no doubt in our mind about it at all. The people who run Christianity in America today are criminals. Because when you deal with this kind of money, and $1-million airplanes and jets and hiding funds in the Bahamas and all kinds of criminality and drug running and prostitution and all the stuff that the church is really actually involved in. And we know they're involved in it. So we in the FBI know that the church is, in America, a criminal organization. But it's got the people snickered, they've got the people ignorant, so they don't know. People don't know, but we know. And therefore, if you are attacking the church and religion, trying to expose them, if you have any real problems coming in your life, it's going to come from organized crime, the church. Because that's exactly what the Christian church is in America and in the world today. It is an organized criminal syndicate. That was an FBI agent in San Diego. So the point being is that I know that. And so that's why I've been under attack, and that's why I'm being attacked now. And so many of my attackers and people who are trying to destroy my work and my name are Christians, born-again Christians who love the Lord Jesus, washed in the blood of the Lamb, saved by the Holy Ghost, and don't give a damn about the Ten Commandments or bearing false witness against their friend, against their neighbor. They don't care about lying. They don't care about thievery. They don't care about anything. As a matter of fact, some of the Christians have actually murdered other people. And so, I don't see where Christianity has anything to say about Islam or the corruption of Islam when they are equally as bad and equally as guilty. And you have to remember, the two biggest wars ever fought in the world was World War I and World War II, and it was between Christian countries. Germany was a Christian country, Europe was Christian, America was Christian, all of Central and South America, Mexico were Christian. So two of the greatest wars ever fought on the earth, World War I and World War II, and the massacres in the Middle East today, the major wars going on the earth today, religious, period, religious wars. So I feel very justified in saying I was right. I was telling you, religion is a racket. It's nothing more than a lying criminal racket where the preachers and all these mentally deranged preachers jumping around the stage and spitting on people and falling over and jumping around the stage and laying on the floor and shaking and all that nonsense. It's just an incredible array of criminality that's making hundreds of billions of dollars a year. And the American people are famous all over the world for giving money to charlatans, the religious fanatics, drug running. The Medellin cartel makes billions a year off of the sale of drugs to Americans. Americans are a drug society. They're heavy into drugs, alcohol, gang wars, murder, violence, slavery, and religion, Christianity and Judaism and Islam. And this whole entire Western civilization is just very sick, and it's dying. It's dying all over the world because there is no truth left. There is no vision. There's no vision of reality left. There's no vision of the people. And the Bible says where there is no vision, the people perish. And so that's what's going on today. Western civilization is collapsing. There's nothing but violence, corruption, pollution, drive-by killings, drug addiction, alcoholism, all of this in a Christian country. And at the same time, Christians are out there bad-mouthing each other, bad-mouthing anyone trying to help, and they're ignorant, ill-informed, unread, mentally deranged, mentally unstable, and dim-witted. And that's Christianity today. The Christianity of the first century, I admire. I love the words in the scriptures attributed to Jesus. I love the wisdom, the encoded wisdom of the Bible and of the first century Christianity. But I'm talking about the church entity, mentally deranged, moronic stuff that is now being promoted in America, calling itself the church. What a disgraceful display of stupidity and ignorance and childish stupidity. So, and I know that there's a lot of people who see that, and the church is trying to do whatever they can to destroy my name and my work, but I don't care at this point. 73 years old, it just doesn't matter to me anymore. I just do what I do and see where it goes. But that's one of the major reasons why I've just kind of lost hope I just drop out of the picture because I know that trying to save America mentally and spiritually and intellectually save America is like trying to empty the Pacific with a teacup. It's not going to happen. The people love in America. The people have spoken. After all, we are a democracy and the majority rules. Well, the people of America have spoken. They love stupidity. They cannot get enough of criminality, pornography, alcohol, drugs, wars, violence, basketball, silly-ass ball games, computer games, anything that is infantile, ignorant, lacking any intelligence or anything humanly of value. The American people love it. We can't get enough of bullshit, silly-ass ball games, silly-ass, what do they call them, soap operas during the day, game shows, all kinds of pornography, stupidity, ignorance. The American people love it. And so we get the kind of government that we deserve. We love getting screwed over. We love lies. We love stupidity and ignorance. We abhor reading a book or thinking. And so, like one of the founding fathers of this country said, if you're expecting to be free and stupid, that ain't going to happen. You can be stupid or you can be free, but you're not going to be both. And so that's why the people of America live like slaves. We live like slaves. We act like slaves because we are slaves. And the country's finished. Our morals are gone. Our ethics are gone. Our scruples are gone. Our money is gone. Our base of operation is gone. There's nothing left to this country but stupidity, ignorance, dancing, silly-ass ball games. It's frightening to see what has happened to our great country. And who's on the front lines of this bullshit if it isn't the Christians? They're out there dancing in the street, and they just love what's going on. And so the Jews are prancing around telling everybody they're God's chosen people. I'm just amazed at the stupidity of the human race. You can trace Judaism back to Hinduism. Judaism is based on an ancient religion in the Hindu world called Brahmanism. The Brahmin religion is the basis for what we call today Judaism. So if you want to understand Judaism, go look up Brahma and Brahmanism in India, and there is the basis for Judaism. If you want to understand Christianity, go back and study Egypt in the worship of the sun god, Ra. So, if you want to understand Islam, very simple. Anybody who has any questions about that lunatic religion, that mentally disordered bunch of nonsense, all you've got to do is get a 2-volume book set. There's 2 volumes, Volume 1 and Volume 2, called Moon, M-O-O-N, Moon hyphen O, the letter O, hyphen Theism, T-H-E-I-S-M. The book is called Moon O Theism, M-O-O-N hyphen O, hyphen Theism, Moon O Theism. And it's a 2-volume set. Each volume is like 650 to 700 pages. Huge volumes, 2 of them, Monotheism, in which the author does an absolutely incredible job on 1,400 pages, where he picks apart in minute detail, and 1/3 of the book is footnotes. On every single page is footnotes, where everything comes from, where all of this nonsensical crap developed, who started it, and it's called monotheism. Go on the web and order it. You can probably even find it as an ebook somewhere on the web for free. But if you're interested in Islam and where this incredibly diseased religion comes from, this mentally disordered disease on the earth that we call Islam, if you want to know about where this thing developed and how this cancer started on the human body, is this murderous disease called Islam. Go get the book. I didn't write the book. 1,400 pages of footnotes called monotheism. And then when you look at as I said, Judaism and that incredible nonsense about God's chosen people, when you find out who the Jews really are, and you find out where Judaism really came from, and you begin for the first time to look at what's really going on in Judaism and the difference between the Zionist Jews and the regular Jews, and find out that 4/5 of all Jews on the earth are not Semitic. Only 1/5 of the Jews on the earth are Semitic. And once you understand that only 1/5 of the Jews are Semitic, the other 4/5 are Gentiles. Now, it's astounding to me how many people don't know that. And the 4/5 of the Jews, which are not Semitic, are referred to as Ashkenazi. Now, there's a loaded term if there ever was one. Ashkenazi? You better go back and look at the word ash. And then Kenazi. Ash, K-A or K-E, Nazi, N-A-Z-I. Ashkenazi, N-A-Z-I. Get it? Ashkenazi. It goes back to the old German, Jewish German, what would we call it? An operation going on in Europe that calls itself Jewish. It was actually an Ashkenazi movement of Jews who call themselves Jews, but who are not Semitic. They're not Jews. They're Europeans hiding under the cloak of an ignorant and crazy religion. I'm just so amazed that one day, I'm sure, there's going to come a day when the whole world is going to awaken to find out that Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are all mentally deranged diseases of the mind, and by their fruits you shall know them. Well, what is the fruitage of Islam, Judaism, and Christianity? Look at the earth today. Look at the world you live in. What is the fruitage that has been brought to the earth by these three religions, if it isn't war, bloodshed, violence, pornography, stupidity, ignorance? What a mess the world is in. And why do you have three major religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam? Why three? I mean, there's a whole story there. The rabbis know, the big shots in the religions know, but they're not telling the people. Why are there three divisions? Why is there one big one or 16 big religions? No, there's three divisions. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Triune. That's because all religions are based on the number 3. That's a Masonic number. All religions are based on 3. Why? Because there are only 3 points to a triangle. A triangle based on the pyramid. It's a very, very ancient old story about how the world really works. So, in answer to it took a long time to get to it, but in answer to your question as to why have I dropped out and not doing very much anymore, it's quite simply because I'm physically, spiritually, and mentally tired. I'm tired over the many, many years of reading and studying theology, religion, comparative religions, occultism, mysticism. I started talking about Illuminati back in 1967. 67. I don't even know how many years that is, over 40 years ago. I was talking around all over Los Angeles. I was going to motion picture studios at night, and television studios, and music studios, and talking with movie stars and all kinds of people in the entertainment industry some 45 years ago, talking to them about the Knights Templars and the Illuminati and Masonic orders out of Germany and France, and French Illuminism and Pan-Germanism. And in 1967, I was talking to people in the motion picture industry about the Illuminati, secret societies, the Knights Templars, the Federal Reserve, International Monetary Fund, World Banks, world religions, occultism, devil worship in the churches, and all the disgusting crap that's in the three major religions of the world, where they really came from and what they're really doing and who they really are. And so now, of course, now it's everywhere. Now all the movies, Da Vinci Code and National Treasure, and all these movies talking about the Illuminati and secret societies and the Knights Templars and all that stuff is on, on History Channel and Discovery Channel. It's everywhere in Hollywood. Well, it should be. It ought to be everywhere in Hollywood, for Christ's sake. I've been talking about it for some 45 years. And before me, there were other people talking about it in Hollywood. So, at this point, I mean, I did the best I could and cause people to wake up and start talking about it. And now, today, Christians are talking about Illuminati, never realizing it was not a Christian who brought up this subject. You know, when I was talking back in 1967 in lectures about Illuminati and secret societies and corruption in government and all of that, Christians had no idea in the world what I was talking about. But now that that's finally out there, so everybody now knows about it. Oh, sure, everybody knows about it now. And so now you've got the Christians who are world-famous authorities on the subject. So I just watch all this nonsensical circus going on around me, and basically I've just given up. I'm broke, I'm tired, I'm old. I've done the best I could, and all I've ever gotten was lies and deception and manipulation and exploitation. And so that's, I'm just letting you know what I'm feeling. I'm just tired of all of it. I'm tired of all the lies. I'm tired of people attacking my work and harming attacks on my name and my family. So that's what I've been putting up with for the last 50 years, and so that's why I'm just tired. I think I've got a right to be at 73 years old. I've got a right to be tired. It's old, and I've been doing it for 53 years. So that answers your question, and I give you a pretty good round picture of how this stuff works in my life. It's given me nothing but heartache, tragedy, and loss of everything. Lost my family, my wife, my marriage, my home. Every nickel I had was stolen from me. All my products were stolen from me. My name has been stolen from me. Everything I've got, except for the clothes I'm wearing, have been ripped off and stolen from me. So, that's why you don't hear a whole lot more from Jordan Maxwell. I did the best I could, because I brought David Icke to America in 1992. David Icke did not do anything against me, but his girlfriend, Ferguson, can't remember, Alice Ferguson. Alice Ferguson was a girlfriend of David Icke's back in 1992. And Alice Ferguson came to me from England. She came over from England and called me and came to my office. And she brought with her a friend of hers, David Griffin. David Griffin and Alice Ferguson came from England to San Diego to meet me, and they came to my office. And Alice told me that she was here She had been told to go to America and see Jordan Maxwell at the Truth Seeker Company because he was helping everybody, anybody who had something of value to do for the human family, that he was helping and financing, which I was. I was helping to finance all kinds of operations and people and authors and writers and Zachariah Sitchin and all kinds of other people that I was helping get their books published, and that was what I was doing. And so she said, well, I wanted to come over to America to see if we could get you to help my friend David Icke. And I said, well, first of all, who are you? She said, I'm Alice Ferguson, and this is my friend David Griffith, and we're here to see if you will help us bring David Icke to America and promote him. So I sat and talked with them for a little while, and I said, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll hire you, Alice and David, and I'll hire both of you, and I'll pay you both $2,500 a month. That's $5,000 in salary a month, $2,500 a piece. I'll hire you and David, and you work for the company, the Truth Seeker Company, and you work to promote me and my work in the Truth Seeker Company. But at the same time, you can work and promote your friend David Icke, whoever he is, and whatever he's doing. That sounds like he's a good guy. So yeah, I don't mind. You can promote him and use the company money to promote him and do whatever you want. So then Alice tells me, well, that's wonderful. So now I gave her a job, him and her, David Griffith and Alice Ferguson, who were representing David Icke. And then she said, so now I've given them both a job. Well, they got to have a place to live. They don't have a place to live. So I said, all right, I'll get both of you an apartment, a one-bedroom apartment. I'll have the company, do that for you. So the foundation bought them both, rented them both apartments. Well, we got to have a car because we don't have a car. So I said, all right, I'll get the foundation to buy a car for you, a new car. And well, if we got an apartment, we don't have anything in it. I said, okay, I will give each one of you, both of you, $2,500 a piece to furnish your apartments. So, that's $10,000 there already. And so now they've got a new apartment apiece. They've got a new car to come to work in. They've got a new job, paying $2,500 a piece to each one. And so now they should be happy. And she's got new furniture, and so does he. And so now all I'm asking is that you just work to promote the Truth Seeker Company and promote my projects that I'm interested in. And at the same time, you can also do whatever you want to do to promote David Icke. And so Alice Ferguson and David Griffith were working, and I had to get them, of course, I have to get them a new office. I don't have any room in my office, so I got to get both of them an office. Well, you got to have computers and phones turned on and fax machines and all kinds of equipment. So that's another $10,000 I had to spend to get them set up and rent them new offices in the building that I was in. And so once they're all set up, now they're very happy. They've got money coming in, got a nice job. They got the credit card. They got the gold credit card on the foundation. So now all of a sudden she has to go back, Alice Ferguson has to go back to see her mother in England. And she's got to go see her girlfriend or a sister in Australia or wherever it was. And so she's using the company credit card, the gold card on the foundation credit card, to fly back to England. And then she brings her girlfriend back from England to stay with her, which I don't care. But I'm paying for the tickets. I'm paying for the flights. And so when they get back here, well, the girlfriend needs a job. So I said, all right, I'll pay her, like $1,000, and she can live with you. And so I paid I hired the girlfriend for Alice so that her girlfriend would have a job. And and then one day, what's her name, Bonnie Lang, who was the president of the company. I was merely running the company for 2.5, 3 years. So Bonnie Lang herself was a criminal. I didn't realize that this woman was a criminal. She's got a criminal record. I didn't realize that at the time that I was at the Truth Seeker company. So Bonnie Lang gets to meet Alice Ferguson and Alice's girlfriend. Well, Bonnie Lang brings in a friend of hers to work for the company, and so all the women used to get together and go out to lunch at time every day, and at night they would go out together, all the women in the office, and it was just me and Tim Leadham, and of the men in the office was me and Tim Leadham. And so one day I came in to work, and supposedly each month my paycheck would be in the secretary's office, and it was I had a bin there. I had a mail drop there in the main office, and so once a month I would come in, and my check would be in my box. And so one month I came in, I was busy up in San Francisco, financing some science thing for friends of mine up in Portland, Oregon, and Washington State. So I came in, and my paycheck wasn't there, and I didn't think anything about it because I was too busy. So I just let it slide. I just thought, well, the Bonnie or whoever it is who signed the checks forgot it, so I'm not going to argue about it. So I went back up to San Francisco. I was working for the company and putting on shows and developing television shows, etc., and working with Zachariah Sitchin and all kinds of Richard Hoagland and God knows all kinds of astronauts and scientists. So I was busy. And as it turns out, I got so busy, and when I came back, the next month came around, and my check wasn't there again. And I didn't say anything that my check wasn't there a second time, but because I was too busy. It only took me about a week, and so then I went into the secretary's office and I said, "Where are my 2 checks? Where's my checks?" And she said, "Oh no, we fired you a couple of months ago. You've been fired." And I said, "What do you mean been fired?" She said, "No, Bonnie Lang, fired you." I said, well, "What are you talking about? Fired me? Who got authorized my dismissal?" And she said, "Well, Alice Ferguson suggested to Bonnie that she fire you and bring David Icke in to take your place because Alice Ferguson felt that David Icke would be better for this company than you. So you were fired." And Bonnie Lang agreed. So they fired you, and they're going to bring David Icke in to take your place. And so that's why you were fired 2 months ago. They didn't even bother to tell you. So then when they confronted David Icke to come over to America now, we got big fancy jobs from Jordan Maxwell. He gave us big fancy checks and bought up our furniture and bought us a new car and paid all of our rent and gave us all the job. And now we're doing real well. Now we're sailing along. Why don't we just fire Jordan Maxwell? Just get rid of him and bring David Icke in to take his place. That's the thank you I got from Alice Ferguson. That's the thank you I got, was being fired so that Alice Ferguson could bring David Icke in to take my place after I fed them, gave them an apartment, gave them money, gave them a job, bought them a car, took care of them, did all, and hired her girlfriends. And she's traveling all over the world on the gold card to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, with her girlfriend on my money, on my company's money. And then all I got from it was I was fired, and David Icke is going to come in and take my place. Well, then when they talked to David Icke and said, "Well, we got you a nice cushy job. We just fired Jordan Maxwell. He was supposedly our friend, but we got rid of him, so now you can have his place." Well, David told him, I'm not interested in doing a job in an office. You know, I enjoy talking to audiences and traveling around the world and doing what I do and make a lot of money and be on the stage. I'm not interested in sitting in an office like Jordan running a company. So I'm sorry, you picked the wrong guy. I'm not interested in running any company. So then they were caught between the rock and the hard place. They've already fired me. It's over. And now that David Icke doesn't want my job. So now they've got some real problems. And so, as it turns out, the whole company went defunct about a year later. The whole company went under. They had so many lawsuits. We had the police out there with all kinds of investigations, corruption by the president, Bonnie Lang. She had federal agents out there in the office. The whole company just went under, and found out the whole thing was a very big corrupt operation going on, that they had stolen the foundation's money. The lawyers had stolen the money. My God, it was a real mess. So I left the Truth Seeker in a pickup truck. A friend came down and picked me up and gave me a place to live, because I had spent all my money and brought David Icke here and spent countless thousands of dollars, she spent on promoting David Icke to make him famous, and then fired me, and I left penniless and came back to Los Angeles. I had to sleep on the floor in my friend's apartment. So, that's the story of my experience. And it wasn't David Icke who did anything. David didn't do anything. It was Alice Ferguson. And David Griffin was a very nice guy. Unfortunately, he didn't know anything about Alice Ferguson, but he came to me and quit just before all of this stuff happened. David Griffin came to me and said, Jordan, I'm leaving. I'm going back to England. And I said, why? I kind of figured I knew what was going on then. And he said, I cannot stomach Alice Ferguson anymore. I can't deal with her. I don't want to be around her. I know what she's doing behind your back. I know what the women are doing behind your back. I'm hearing them. And you've been too generous with us and too kind to me and given us so much. And now they're doing this to you to bring David Icke in to take your place. So I don't want any part of this. I'm going back to England. Goodbye and good luck. And that's it. So that's what that was my experience with bringing David Icke to America back in 1992. It was Bonnie Lang, the president of the Truth Seeker company that I was working for, was a criminal. She had criminal convictions. My God, you go to the San Diego County Court of Records building and look up Bonnie Lang and Truth Seeker company. You'll see all kinds of criminal activity where her husband went to prison, and she was involved in $1 million ripoff of the Columbus company, the Columbus people. They got ripped off of $1 million and indicted her for robbery and embezzlement. My God, this woman was a criminal. And while I'm there with Bonnie Lang, at the same time, now I'm confronted by other sharks like Alice Ferguson, and I'm just amazed at the perfidy and the corruption and the criminality of these people. And again, David Icke didn't have anything to do with it. He was in Europe. He didn't know anything that was going on there. He didn't even know that I had authorized over $100,000 in 4 years to promote him. And that's how much Alice Ferguson had been spending on promoting David Icke on the company credit cards. So we got his books published for him, and I got him on radio and got him on Coast to Coast and promoted him myself because I liked David and I liked what he was doing. And Alice Ferguson was sending him all over the world on the company credit card and buying him first-class tickets to here and there and everywhere. And ultimately, all I got out of it was fired and thrown out on the street with nothing. So that's Alice Ferguson and the David Icke story of Jordan Maxwell with the Truth Seeker. But nobody knows that. Nobody knows that. All they know is that Jordan Maxwell's a criminal and he's this and he's that. But I got all kinds of stories. I've been ripped off and lied to and cheated by so many people. But happily, there have been a few people who have been close to me who was there. You were one of them. You were one when I came back to Los Angeles. So that was the David Icke story.
Well, that story, Jordan, the time frame on that when you were terminated from Truth Seeker, that would have been around September 5th, 1998.
Yeah.
That's when that happened. And see, what's put out there, the public allegation against you, if I may play devil's advocate for a second, is you were unproductive at the Truth Seeker. That's why they had to fire Jordan Maxwell, because Jordan Maxwell always falls into this pattern. We want to do everything we can to help Jordan. We're so wonderful. And then Jordan just won't play ball. And he just sits on his ass and does nothing. See? And see, you're giving the other side of the story. It's a little more complicated picture. And once you're basically, because you were basically on the street. You were destitute. That's it. The way I would describe it, if we had to do this under penalty of perjury, would be under extreme economic harm, stress, and duress. And this is around the time of September 5th, 1998. I believe this FTC thing, that problem began, well, let's see here what it says here. We're talking January 16th, 2003. So there's a 5-year interval there where you're basically destitute.
I was living in a friend's garage, sleeping on an airbag in the garage.
Exactly. And
it was in North Hollywood, and his name was Vladimir. My friend from Europe was an apartment manager, and he had a little single apartment. And I brought some of my clothes and boxes up and put it in the garage, and we put an air mattress on the floor in the garage, and I was sleeping on the floor in the garage with nothing. Because of what Alice Ferguson and the Truth Seeker and Bobby Lang did, firing me and didn't tell me, it let me spend all the money I had left in my account on the business, promoting and letting them use my money, and then come to find out I was fired 2 months ago and I didn't know it. Nobody told me. And
well, this is when when your name really started getting big, because it was around this time the basic slide presentation was kind of making people aware of this company called Truth Seeker that now no one knows about, and prior to you, no one knew about.
And it's true. Yep.
So
those were the days.
So that being the case, this FTC judgment against you, which is out there, it's public knowledge, it's right on the FTC's website. You're basically destitute, and it's basically, well, whoever's going to come along and help me, beggars can't be choosers. That's pretty much the situation that I saw.
Well, it's true. I mean, when you're sleeping in a garage on the floor on an air mattress, and the only thing that was keeping me alive was my friend who was I'd have lunch with and dinner with. And he was buying, and paying, and thankfully, at least he had room in his garage for an air mattress, and so that's where I was. I was sleeping on the floor in the garage with nothing, zero.
And at this time, you would have been around 56, 57 years old.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and that's when the association began with this BBC of America.
Yeah.
Which led to the Federal Trade Commission fiasco. And that, to me, let it be stated publicly, I mean, that's a total case of guilt by association. And as you said, the federal agents took you downtown and basically said, we're putting the pressure on you because we want to know what you know. We know you had nothing to do with this, but you're useful to us. I mean, that's basically me paraphrasing from my understanding from what you
Yeah, that's what they basically said without saying it. They said, we know that you didn't have anything to do with this because we know who you are. We know what your finances. We know that when we froze your bank account, when we shut the BBCOA down, we know you have $52 in your account, in your bank account. and you've never had more than $100 in your bank account at any one time. So we know that you've never had more than $100 there. You've got $52 when we close your account down. We know that you didn't have anything to do with anything at all. We know that.
Right, and what it was just basically the name Jordan Maxwell lent some luster and brought some traffic to BBC of A.
Well, of course, absolutely, because I was doing radio and lectures, and I was traveling around Southern California doing lectures and radio and slide presentations, and I was on Coast to Coast Radio, and I was on all the big radio shows, and of course I was promoting the company BBCOA because they were helping me, and they were giving me a website, and so
which you had no control over. You had no access to the passwords. No idea what type of traffic was going on there. No idea how much money's coming in. It's just go out there, talk, get on the damn radio, and sell some product. That's it. That's all you need to know.
I didn't know anything about, at my age, I didn't know anything about computers at all. They had to show me how to turn one on. I knew all about a radio, how to turn one on and turn the stations, but that's it. But at my age, I didn't know anything about the technology, computers, webs. I didn't know anything about none of that. And so it was decided that BBC 08 said, well, we need to get Jordan Maxwell a website. I don't even know what they're talking about. And so they did. And so they told me, well, this is going to be your website. And then I began to see what the web was all about for the first time. And I have a website. But what nobody told me is that it's not my website. It was being presented to me as if it were my website. Jordan Maxwell has his own website. It's called BBCOA. But I didn't realize, I don't know anything about the technology, but I had some people come in and say, Jordan, you don't own that website. That's not yours.
Right. Well, let me explain how that works, Jordan. I mean, you basically have the domain name, and there will be a registrant associated with that. So what they're basically saying is, no, you're mistaken here, Jordan. You're not going to be the registrant. We're going to have the control and ownership of this. When we say it's your website, it means your name's on there because you're going to make us some money. But you're not going to have access to any passwords. You're not going to have any say in the direction of where this company is going. And at that time, I can tell you, the last time you've lived in a proper home with an apartment was the apartment that you had in San Diego when you were associated with Truth Seeker. After that, you've been homeless.
That's right.
And even with your association, this judgment with the FTC, I mean, it's $400 and some $1,000. At that time, I'm an eyewitness. You're living on the floor in an office. So in
Tarzana, I'm sleeping on a floor.
So it's
on an air mattress.
So it's understandable why, after a certain point in time, you do not feel like playing ball. And that's where in my opinion, this is just my opinion, an outsider looking in from the outside, but who was there as an eyewitness, that's where these allegations come in. Oh, Jordan's lazy. He doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't want to get off his ass and make us some money. He's got to make us some money. Well, you're making money. I don't have an apartment. I can't take a shower anywhere. I sleep on a floor. But I'm expected to be productive. I have a website. No, your name's on it. It's not yours. It's not your website.
Never has been.
See, and this has been the up and down cycle, since this whole thing with Truth Seeker, when you last had an apartment in San Diego. This is what I've seen looking inside from the outside. And this is what the world doesn't understand. You had this FTC, this whole thing about selling fake international driver's licenses and things like that. That was not your function, from my understanding, at BBC of A. Your job was to be Jordan Maxwell, get on the damn radio, move some product, and make us some money. That's it.
That's all it was. And what happened with that Federal Trade Commission thing is that there were two young guys heard me on a radio. One of them, his name was Jason Whitney. Jason Whitney heard me on a radio. He was living in Orange County, and I was doing radio shows on KPFK, late at night radio show, and Jason Whitney was living in Orange County, and he heard me, and so he called me the next day and said he wanted to come up and visit me because he was interested in my work and what I was doing. So he came up to visit me, and he was a nice young guy, and I liked him, and he's very bright, and so he started coming up to visit me every day after work. And he'd drive all the way up from Orange County to LA County, I don't know, almost 50 miles each day, now 50 miles home, 100 miles a day, round trip, just to come sit and hang out with me and talk with me. I didn't mind. It's fine with me. I don't care if he wants to come up. And then one day I said to him, why don't you just come up here and live, and I'll get you a job working with the company. I'll talk to Vic, who owns the company. He's the owner. I don't own nothing. I sleep on the floor, but I'll see if I can get you a job. And so I talked with Vic, and he said, yeah, they'll hire him if he's good on computers and all that. So, okay, so we hired him. Well, so now we got Jason Whitney working with the company, who was handling all of our computer stuff and record keeping and all that. And he had a friend named Gus. And Gus was from South America, and he was good on computers and artwork on computers. And so he wanted, Jason wanted Gus to work with us. So I went to Vic and asked Vic if he would hire Gus while we needed somebody to do artwork for us and keep the books and just help run the office. And since the two boys worked together and they were good friends, we thought it would be good business have the two boys work for us. So Jason Whitney and Gus came to work for the company and was going just fine. Well, Vic was in the office. He was involved in many other pieces of business. He was involved in a lot of other business that had nothing to do with what I was doing, with radio shows and books and tapes and videos on my subject. He was involved in other things. But because I was doing a radio show, Vic was financing the radio show. He was like a sponsorer for me to do a radio show to sell my work and sell myself and what I was doing. But at the same time, he was sponsoring the show, so he had commercials on my radio show selling his book and his projects and the things he was doing with law and other commercial ventures that had nothing to do with me. But I don't care. Just like he's my friend who's helping me, and I'm doing the radio show. My name is out there, and I'm doing radio, and it's good for him, and it's good for me. I got a radio show, and he's got somebody to promote him and his work. And so Jason decided that he found out, I found out later on that Jason had contacted a guy in, I think it was Florida, somewhere around Tampa, Florida, who was selling international driver's permits. So Jason talked to this company in Florida who was selling international driver's permits, and suggested that we might, the BBC company might promote them on our website, and we get a kickback, 10-12% of the business we send to them. We'd get a little kickback on it. Well, that's normal in business. Okay, so Jason went into Vic. I wasn't even in the office. I was sleeping at a little one-room office about 2 blocks away, sleeping on the floor with nothing.
Right across the street in Tarzana. And may I interrupt, Jordan? I think what needs to be said here was BBC of A was already in existence and operating outside your influence or direction or anything. BBC was basically extending themselves to you as a benefactor because your circumstances were dire. You were just
that's right.
So basically, it's like it's a situation of beggars can't be choosers. This is a company. It's under someone else's influence, direction, and control. But if they're going to promote my work, then so be it. I mean, it's either sleeping under a bridge or this is a means to get my work out there. But you had nothing to do with the direction or the influence or control this place is going. It's this guy's Jordan Maxwell has an audience. and that can be useful to us. That can make some money for us when we sell his products.
Yeah.
And also bring publicity to BBC of A, because now no one knows who BBC of A is.
But everybody knows Jordan Maxwell. So
Correct.
the idea was, well, look at Jordan Maxwell has celebrity. People know him. He's on the radio.
It's good for
does
business.
television. So why don't we, we'll promote Jordan Maxwell's radio show. We'll pay for him to do a radio show. And in the process, people are listening to him. We can sell our products also. The BBCOA can sell their products and their books and what they're doing. And me, I don't care. It's my friend who's supposedly helping me, so I don't care if he wants to advertise on my program, and I'll promote him on the show and his products and what he's doing. It has nothing to do with me, but he's sponsoring the show. And so, so Jason goes in to the office and talks to Vic and says, there's a company down in Florida selling international driver's permits, and I think they'll give us like $10 or $15 or $20, whatever it was, kickback for every customer we send to them if we put their the ad on our BBCOA website. And so Vic said, yeah, okay, whatever, and they let them do it. And then later on, about a month or two later, Jason hears about a company in back east on the East Coast that is cleaning up credit cleanup company. And so he contacts that company back there and says, maybe we can do some business. We'll send people to you and get a little kickback on it. Yeah, that's fine. So Jason Whitney goes in to see Vic, the owner of the company, and says, we've got another company now on the East Coast that is doing credit cleanup, and we can make a few bucks off of them too if we're promoting them. And so we get a little kickback off of them. So Vic says, okay, do it. So now comes the feds, because the company in Florida was selling the international driver's permits so that the people could say that they weren't from America, that they were only visiting here, and therefore they didn't have to pay taxes. So that was like a tax scam to tell the taxpayer that you were not from here, that you're driving with the international driver's permit because you're not from here, and that way cover so you don't have to pay taxes. Well, when the feds found out about that, they shut that company down immediately for fraud. And because BBCOA is making a few bucks off of, we're promoting them, BBCOA is promoting them and sending them business, well, then they found out that the other company, which was a credit card, which was cleaning up people's credit, was charging, I heard 3 times the amount that's normally charged for credit cleanup, and the feds figured that was a criminal, charging 3 times the regular rate. It wasn't that what they were doing was wrong, is that they were charging too much for their service, and BBCOA was making a piece of the action off of those overcharges. So the feds decided that enough is enough, and so they came in one day and shut down BBCOA, and because of the credit card cleanup scam and another scam in Florida selling international driver's permits, so they shut the company down. Well, when they shut the company down, I am now also liable, because I'm on the radio promoting BBCOA. I'm on the radio promoting the company and what they're doing and their and their projects. Therefore, the company is financing my show, sponsoring my show. I'm on, and the website that was being used was in my name. It was my website. I don't know anything about websites. I don't know anything about.
You don't have any password access, and also
I got nothing.
Right.
I don't know from nothing.
And
I have Jason and Gus handling a website for me because I don't even know what a website is.
And what it needs to be understood at this point in time, you don't even have an apartment. You're living in
Nothing.
an office on a floor, and your association, you say we were doing this, we were doing that, but really it's the BBC of A, and you're only associated with the BBC because your association is as a researcher, and beggars can't be choosers. If they're going to promote my life's work, so be it. I have nothing else to do with what they're doing.
Of course not. I didn't know anything was going on. All I knew is that Jason and Gus were running the office, and Dick was the boss. Now, I'm not there. I don't have an office there. I don't know what they're doing. I haven't had any idea.
You were not ever, from my understanding, from what I saw, is that you were never allowed to assert any influence, control, or direction over BBC of A's business activities or their policies. All you wanted to do,
never even told.
Exactly. That's it. You just wanted to have an association with them with this. Okay, this is just a this is an expedient thing to do. If this is the ones that are going to be the ones to promote, or I'm allowed to be a researcher and promote my life's work, then so be it. Because I'm that bridge back there behind this abandoned office I'm sleeping in. I don't even have an apartment at this time. I have no choice.
That's exactly right. They were at least letting me be on the radio and promoting my work and giving me a website. I thought I had a website. I thought I had BBCOA was my website. No. It doesn't belong to me at all. It belongs to Vic. It belongs to the BBCOA company. But yes, my name is on it because my name is known. BBCOA isn't known, but Jordan Maxwell is known. So therefore, they will put my name on it, but they own it. And so my name is on it, and it's promoting my name, and I bring in all the interest into BBCOA because my name is out there, and I'm on radio. And so they're making lots of money off of me. Me, I've got nothing. I just sleep on the floor. But at least I get a website, I think.
It's better than nothing, right? But you don't know what's going on. It's not registered in your name. That domain name, jordanmaxwell.com, is not registered to you. You don't have password access to it. So, as I said, you really... It was pretty damn clear. You're not going to assert any influence, control, or direction over BBC of A's business activities and policies. Thank you very much. You just go out there and be a good boy. We pat you on the head and go out there and sell some product for us. Never mind what we're doing. It's not your concern. Just sleep on the damn floor. When you wake up, go out there and promote the show. That's it, because it's going to make us some money.
Yeah, and so when I'm doing radio, I'm promoting BBCOA and whatever it is that they are doing. And whatever it is they are doing, I'm promoting the company. I don't know what they're doing. I'm just promoting the company. Why? Well, because they're paying for the radio station. They're paying for the radio show so I can do my radio show. So they are like sponsoring my radio show. I don't care what they're doing. Whatever they're doing, it got nothing to do with me because I don't know anything about their business, and I don't even know anything about my own website. I don't have any codes. I don't know anything about websites. So Jason Whitney and Gus were my webmasters, along with working for the company that I got them the job. I got them a nice cushy job. I got Jason Whitney's girlfriend. I got her a job as a secretary. I always tried to get everybody a job and keep everybody happy and do what I could to help everybody while I'm sleeping on the floor.
That's correct.
And then when the feds came in because of the shysters back east, well, BBCOA is in business with those shysters back east, so you are equally as guilty. So who's on that BBC radio show? Jordan Maxwell. Well, who's the face on the front of the BBC website? That's Jordan Maxwell. Good, that he's going to jail because Jordan Maxwell is equally as guilty. The only thing is that Jordan Maxwell was sleeping 2 blocks away on the floor and didn't know nothing that was going on. I didn't know what they were doing, and nobody ever told me what they were doing. I just was trying to do my work, and I was happy to.
Right, you don't worry about what the website looks like. That's not your concern. You just go out there, be Jordan Maxwell, talk that magic stuff you talk on the radio that people so love to hear, and that's going to move some product. That's all you need to worry about. Don't worry about having an apartment. Don't worry about taking a shower like a human being. You got an office. That's all you need. And here's $50 a week to maybe go get some groceries or something.
Well, that's basically it.
And so then once the Federal Trade Commission comes in, they raided the place. You weren't there. You're across the street. This all goes down around January 2003. Now you're in the same situation. Once again, you were in with the truth seeker, back on your ass, back on the street, homeless with nothing, also trying to promote your life.
And being now a new culprit. Now I'm a new criminal. Now the Christians have got a new thing against me. See, the Federal Trade Commission caught this dastardly criminal. Jordan Maxwell is making millions and ripping the public off while I'm sleeping on the floor 2 blocks away with nothing. I have no idea in the world what's going on. I don't know what the Federal Trade Commission's there for. I don't know what they're doing. I've got the faintest idea what's going on over 2 blocks away at the office. I don't know what they're selling. I don't know what they're doing. I've got the faintest ideas. None of my business, not my company. I ain't got nothing to do with it. Just be happy that they're promoting your radio show and giving you $50 a week to eat on. And when you're broke and have no place to go, anything is better than nothing.